Hello, how is everyone doing? What a week, huh? Is anyone else out there having a week like I am? Well, no, because each of us is having our very own week, so of course it's not exactly like mine. But welcome. Welcome to the Living Room Community Art Studio's pop up art studio hangout slash live stream. It's good to have you back. Now, if you're out there watching live, go on ahead and say hello if you'd like. Um, Lisa, so good to have you join. How are you doing? It's I was thinking about these sessions earlier this week and reflecting on what they give me, and it's really I feel really selfish because I enjoy doing these so much, and it gives me a chance to connect with people from the community that I might not have seen in a little while, or to simply know or feel like I'm close to them, because I know not everyone likes saying hi or chatting in the live stream feed that we have on the Facebook page. And everyone is welcome. Just knowing that you're out there, knowing that perhaps you're sitting back, you're listening, you're enjoying, maybe you're making art, maybe you're doing something else, maybe you're doing your laundry, tidying a room, maybe you're just lying back and looking out a window at the clouds floating by, because folks, if you're in Oshawa, today is a beautiful day. It is a beautiful day. Lisa, good to hear you're doing so well. And thanks for listening. It's good to see you typing out there. Now, as we do at the beginning of most of these episodes, for the folks who are watching who perhaps are tuning in for the first time, who have never been to the studio before, or for the folks who are maybe watching this after it's live streamed, I'll give you a little introduction to the studio. Folks at home, if you know the spiel and want to say it along with me, you're welcome to. So every spiel begins with a welcome to the studio. So welcome to this studio. We're working out of our new space upstairs, so it's a little it's not as cluttered as my normal working space downstairs, or as cluttered as the studio is if folks who have been there. But all the same, you're welcome. When you're here with us during this time, you're welcome to make art. You're welcome to create in any way that makes you feel comfortable. I'm going to be experimenting with some paint and jelly plates today, some mono printing, there's the word for it. I'm going to be doing some mono printing, but just because I'm doing that, it doesn't mean that you need to do it as well. I want you to work with the materials that you have at home, anything that you have on hand. If what you need to do is just listen, having something like this on in the background, like I said, when you're doing nothing really creative at all, that's okay too. Humaning is a creative endeavor. I think we all need to remember that. I need to remember that, especially today. The next thing we'll let people know is that this, like the studio's actual space, is a safe space. And what we mean when we talk about safety is, well, we ask everyone to be supportive of one another, encouraging, respectful, negotiate, consent. So when in doubt, ask, right? If you can do that in your own space where you are right now, that's fabulous. Because even if you don't have anyone else around you, the most important person to be kind and supportive to is, of course, yourself. So I'm trying to be mindful of that as well as I'm sitting doing my thing here, to be kind to myself on this journey and supportive, and to check in with myself throughout the day to see if what I'm doing is actually what I want to do. If anything about this strange time, it's reminded me how frequently we start doing things or becoming things, or perhaps even aligning ourselves with things that we don't actually necessarily believe in. So I'm going to keep checking in with myself. I invite you to keep checking in with yourself, and we'll all be good. And for folks who are watching or hanging out on the stream, I can't always see what's happening on the Facebook page when people are joining or when they start watching. So if you see folks joining, if they're not chatting and you know them and you would like to say hi and check in with them, please feel free. Just give them a little shout out. Welcome them to the studio. I started saying last week, just imagine I'm at the back, I'm washing coffee mugs and I can't see who's coming in the door right away. When I'm at the studio, I know that I have a fantastic community who's got my back, who are saying hi to all the people who are coming in and, dragging me away from the dishes if need be, if I need to give the spiel. So say hi, chat, check in with one another. It's all good. The next piece of safe space is similar to the studio. If folks who have been using or drinking, we're going to ask them to come back on another day when they haven't been. And there's no judgment about this, right? There's no judgment if you use, if you drink, or if there's no judgment about using or drinking. Generally, for us, it comes down to knowing that we can communicate with people effectively, knowing that others who are perhaps recovering or working on their harm reduction can be in a space where they don't have to deal with as many triggers, because life is pretty hard. It's hard enough, right? It's nice to have a little break from all of that once in a while and know that, yeah, you just don't have to think about it as much. So same for the space, even though it's a virtual space. We ask everyone to still be respectful of that and mindful of the kind of conversations that they bring around really intense topics as well. All right, the next thing, and this may be the most important thing, okay? If anything happens during this stream, during this video that makes you feel uncomfortable, can you let me know? I know this is a weird platform to be making your voice heard on, but if you don't feel quite confident to do it in the chat, perhaps send me a message later on and let me know. Or if you're watching after the fact when it's recorded, just let me know. It gives me an opportunity to reflect on what we're doing here, how we can make it better and more supportive for everyone in our community. Don't marginalize your feelings, folks. They matter, okay? I know that can be tricky because we're so good at it. We've been taught really well. Just push it all down. Hey, Kristen! So nice to see you, Kristen. Welcome to the live stream. Or for folks who are watching afterwards, the video. The other thing I'd like to let folks know is, again, work with what you have. Do what feels right for you. You are the boss of you. I'll be doing this today. You can do whatever you like. And you don't have to join in the chat if you don't want to. You can sit back, do your own thing. And for those folks who are watching after the fact or watching during this without chatting, I know you're there. Thanks for being here. It feels good knowing that you're a part of this and you're contributing your energy to this group. So thank you. All right. Oh, so we're talking about what's here, are we now? Lisa's saying, love these circles. These ones here. Boop, boop, boop. Yeah, I have a thing with circles and hearts. Whenever I am at a loss of what to doodle or draw or create, I fall back on circles and hearts. So I'm going to be experimenting with this as a stencil that I have lying around. Love a good stencil. But you can also use things like stamps. You can use the top or the bottom of a bottle of paint or a lid that you have around the house. We're going to be experimenting with shapes and color and getting a little messy because it's been a bit of a messy week for me and I think I want to let it out. So before even getting to that point, actually, I'm going to get some stuff out. So I'm going to put this aside. I'll come back to that in a little bit and explain more about it. So coming in today, I was feeling really kind of, what's the word for it? Crunchy. Does that make sense? Crunchy? Hello, Annie. Nice to see you. Raise your hand if anyone's feeling a bit crunchy out there. It's just, there's a lot of strangeness happening. Things are still strange, folks. And yet there's this tension in the air as well. This sense of opposites at play, and I don't know how to manage them. Whenever I don't know how to manage something, when I can't control it, I've learned that I should let it out rather than taking it out on myself and letting those thoughts get out of control, right? One of the things that is making me feel all crunchy is the talk about getting back to normal and opening things up for business again and all of those fabulous things, which I know are really, really, really important. There's so many people out there who are also working. Hello, everybody. So they haven't I think there's this idea of opposites in the sense that you are either working or you're not working, or you are trying to get back to work, or perhaps you're just flaking off and flaking out and enjoying everything. And I don't think those two things are true. I don't think they are good representations of where we're at. There's a whole world in between, and many of us are working very hard still from home. In the sense of pushing things back, trying to get things back into the normal, makes me reflect and actually take some time to examine, do I want to get back to that kind of normal? Right? It's I think this is, yeah. Oh, Lisa, very crunchy. That's good. Hand up from Annie. Oh, emojis. I forgot all about emojis, guys. I can't do, okay. Thank you for giving the emojis. It's so good to hear that I'm not alone in this. The tension between the opposites of let's get back to normal or don't fall behind, like there's something wrong with taking care of ourselves, like there's something wrong with slowing things down. I'm going to be really honest with you folks. I'm having a lot of, there's a lot of internal dialogue going on about that. And I just keep thinking, what's wrong with where we're at right now? So my magic hand has reached out to the side and pulled off a box of chalk pastels. Aren't those pretty? I'm pretty lucky, I know. Okay. The medium has been selected for me to let out my crunchiness. And that's really funny because I have a very difficult relationship with chalk pastels. I don't always like getting messy, but it's coming to me today. Hello, B, welcome. And Janet. Oh, Janet. Good to know you're out there. Welcome. What are we talking about? Welcome to the space. All the same rules of the studio apply in here, except in this case, if I'm making something, please feel free to make whatever you want to make and do whatever you want to do. I am not the boss of you. You are. Let's see. I'm going to let the crunchies out. And it's starting messy. I wanted mess, and there, I'm getting messy. So let's see. I'm going to take a page out of Barb Nash's book here. And before I even do this is too nice. It's not, yeah. I'm going to do this. That felt really good. Shelley, thanks for joining us. Welcome. That felt very good. Guys, again, not the boss of you, but if you have any paper, recycling paper, old paper, things you don't need anymore lying around, may I invite you to just crunch it up and see how it feels. That felt amazing. I'm going to do it again. Oh my gosh. Guys, I might just do that this whole streaming. I'm sorry if that doesn't... It just made me so happy. Oh my God, I think I'm going to cry. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, okay, that felt really good. So, okay, what has moved to the top of my self-care list here? If you're feeling crunchy and you don't know where to start, take a piece of paper and just crunch the heck out of it, and then spread it out open again. Yes, the conversation's about messy. I think there's a time for control and managing things, and there's a time to let go, right, and let it out. And I think there's been a part of me this week that's been trying to find space to let it out. And again, even though there's a perception that, this perception that we're not very busy, and those of us who are not working full-time right now or a part of the essential services, that we've just been relaxing or hanging out. And this is a generalization. I know not everyone thinks that. So I'm working with this inner voice, this inner critic, I imagine, that's telling me that people are making that assumption. Take that, inner critic. And all those feelings that come from that. Whew. I need to let them out. So mess. I can't control it. I've tried, when there are things that you can't manage in any other ways, you just don't know what to do with them. Maybe there are no answers. Art. If you're worried about letting go or what will happen when you fall apart or lose control, doing it through art is a great way of making sure that the mess is put in a place where it can live, where it can be safe to live. Does that make sense? Now, look at that. Yeah, the messiness of chalk petals. You can't really control chalk pastels. Yes, you can. There are plenty of artists who work with chalk pastels. When it comes to just getting it out, though, it begins to get messy if you let it. You don't have the same kind of precision that you might with other mediums. Yeah. If you have some materials around where you can get a little bit messy, and feel free. And mess can be made with a lot of different things, right? There's some fabulous artists out there who work with food. Strange, but can be fun. If you prepare, if you're prepared to go that route. You can get messy with a ballpoint pen and scribble. Just scribble and let it out. You can get messy with crayons. This part of the process, this little warm-up here, this isn't about making things pretty. It's not about making anything. It's just about making that mess. Having a little tantrum on the page. I like that, B. So B says, art is my favorite way to get my messy innards out in a way I can start to make sense of them. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm even working with this, I'm not going to put too much pressure on myself to make sense of it even. I think I just want it to be. And I actually, along the way, I'm kind of really liking what's happening with the texture that the page from crunching it up is working, how it's working with the chalk pastels. That's a pleasant surprise. I think I might be doing a lot of that today too, folks. Remembering to breathe. Breathing is good. Messy hands. Okay, bringing out the black. Let's see. And if you are just joining us now, welcome. I'm taking some time to let the mess out of my head onto the page. I'm not gonna try to make sense of it. I'm just gonna let it be. Playing with the theme of opposites today, again, and the tension that's between them. Oh, here we go. That's when it begins to happen. Okay. Because when you start working with something messy, of course, that's when you get, like, your hands get dirty. That's when you get an itch on your face or something like that. Of course, that's when it happens. Yeah. Ooh, watercolor abstract kind of day. I like it. I like it, V. Yeah, for each of you, you might have a medium or a tool at hand that just lets you create. And if you were here at the beginning when I crunched up the paper, even that is such a beautiful gesture. Just that, the crunching it up. If that's all you do today, have fun with it. Enjoy playing with that. All right. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there. Yeah. Yeah, what's so I think coming to a point where we can begin to name those things for ourselves. Like for me today, again, opinions are my own, but being able to recognize that the system we're a part of works at a certain pace. It has for a long time. And a lot of people out there are scared that it's not going to get back up to that pace. So the pressure to do things like reopen everything, get people back to work, all of that is really important. But I think for me, one of the gifts of this time has just been being able to take a breath and examine what kind of world do I want to return to? I am in the world right now. And for a lot of us, I think the way things worked before or were working before, maybe they didn't work for us to begin with. So if we were going to change things, if we were going to dream of something that worked better for us, what would it be? I think it's worthwhile exploring that. Yeah. Because we don't have to fit into things in the way that other people might want us to. We can make those decisions for ourselves, and when we do that, it's a little bit scary, but it can also be really, really liberating. Again, those tensions, right? The delicious tensions, the anxiety. Oh. But here we go. All right, you. I'm going to crunch you up. I am. And yes, I am talking to the paper. I am talking to my art. Nothing wrong with that either. I am talking to you and I'm going to crunch you out. I think I might even throw you out. I don't know if I'm going to hold on to you. No, I hold on to a lot of art, which is not always the best thing, but I always think there'll be something I can use it in the future. But today, oh my God, so much joy. All right, you messy, messy little ball of paper. It feels really good to just get that down to size. And I like the feeling, I just like the sense of being able to crush it. And now you can also step on it, stomp on it. There's a lot of different things. You can sit on it. You can destroy art, destroy your work in a lot of exciting ways as well. Safety first. But sometimes if you're moving into it with the intention, the awareness that the destruction might be a part of the creative process, that can be super fantastic as well. And it feels good physically to stomp on something, returning to that little kid stomping on snow or pulling out, big chunks of grass or falling in leaves, any of those things, right, that we have, kicking leaves. There's many, many different things physically that we can do to crunch things up, to transform one thing into another. Yeah. Sitting on cardboard boxes, empty cardboard boxes, also very fun. Like small ones, right? Where am I going with this? I don't know. You've caught me on a very interesting day. Oh, burying stuff, Annie, yes. So, oh, yes, maybe. Do you want to be buried? Maybe not. Not sure. But yes, burying stuff is, well, it's a process of letting go, right? It's a ritual. It's a beautiful ritual all in itself. I think like a time capsule, even something like that, can be really cathartic as well. Things that you don't want right now, but you might need later on. Yeah. What am I going to do with this for now? I think I want to throw this at something later. I'm going to put it aside. Where are you going to go? You're going to go over there. There we go. Burying stuff, tearing up something. What else? I think with some pieces in the past, I mean, again, this, like anything that transforms it into something else can be quite beautiful. Sometimes just putting it away. I've lost things on purpose, if that makes any sense. Just things I didn't want around right now. I want to come back to them someday. So I'll tuck them in between books on my shelves or put them in a drawer somewhere. Yeah. Back to the earth, seeds, of course, planting in, letting go. So that's an interesting thing because sometimes that sense of burying something can have, well, that feeling of loss. But if we view it as planting something, how beautiful is that, Annie? Thank you for reminding me of that. Because that grows, it becomes something else. With that letting go, there's a release that makes space for something else to come into the world in you or quite literally through the kind of art that it might become. All right, I'm going to begin working on the other pieces. For folks who were able to come out to our fundraiser last year, there was an artist there named Anand Rajaram. He's an actor. He's one of those everything kind of artists. Comedian, clown, radio voiceover artist, performance artist. There's really no way of categorizing what he does. But we asked, as part of the fundraiser, the challenge that we did, we asked them to create an art bomb. And I will never forget what he did. He took it quite literally. And again, safety first. He started just mixing mediums onto a page inside of a box. And there was a firecracker, and he put a firecracker in there safely, and then set a light. And that burned a hole in the piece that he'd created. But then the piece that he created, he took to an alleyway near his house and put it on the wall as street art or found art for someone. And just that process of creation, transformation, destruction, which created something else new out of that process, and then letting it go, letting it out into the world. What a beautiful thing. Again, right? Just reminds me how lucky I am. What a fantastic creative community, right? Okay, so a lot of you last week, some of you, were asking about the images, the painted pages that I was using in the journal that I created. So here's an example of one of them. And what I was working with, how I created these pages, I used this fantastic little tool called a jelly plate. You can get jelly plates in all sizes, in a lot of different shapes. I don't even know what they're made out of exactly, kind of silicone, wobbly, jello-y sheet, right? And you use them essentially for monoprinting. Now, there are people who create fantastic, realistic, beautiful images with them. I, of course, love creating other pages that I can use in other pieces of art down the road. Or for like posters or the backing to quotes or things like that. I'm glad B remembers the fundraiser. Yeah, it was a fun night. We'll come back to that. We'll talk about the fundraiser in a little bit. Uh, so just another way, using a jelly plate is, hello piece of fluff, is just another way of monoprinting. So for those of you who have monoprinted out before, it's when you lay paint on one surface and then you, or an image or design onto one surface, then apply the piece of paper onto that, smooth it out, peel it off, and you're lifting the paint off the plate rather than, well, I suppose rather than the paint being applied to a plate that's pressed on pieces of paper repeatedly. So today, I'm going to be playing with that, making some new pages for journaling and art. If you don't have a jelly plate, there are lots of different ways you can monoprint. Any smooth surface will give you like a layer of paint that you can lift off, and that layer of paint you can draw into, design onto, remove paint, so you're creating negative space on the page. You can use any clean sort of paint resistant surface that won't absorb the paint that you're using. And then you just smooth on a piece of paper, peel it off, and you have a monoprint. The jelly plates allow you to play a little bit more with the depth and sort of carving in and just playing with design a little bit more, just because they're a little bit more giving, and the paint sits on them really, really nicely. But I've also monoprinted with styrofoam. So the styrofoam sheets that you might get, I don't know, for folks who eat meat, you might get them at the meat market, give them a really, really, really good wash, and then you can actually carve into those with any kind of pointed edge and to create designs. And again, wherever the paint sticks in, the paper will lift it off in a different way, so the design will be revealed, right? So there are lots of different ways you can play with monoprinting. And as they dry, you can layer up the color, do different things, play with all those designs upon color upon color. That makes sense? Well, let's see. So where's my wonky little jelly plate? Ah, underneath these chalk pastels. You thought you could hide from me there. No, you can't. I have a very interesting energy today, folks. So what are we working with here? I'm going to start working with a square. If you had square paper, you wouldn't waste it, but I'm going to use every bit of this page, so I'm not too worried. And I'm just going to start layering down some color. Now, I was introduced to jelly plates by the fabulous Deb Reynolds, who I think it was one of the very first workshops that we had at the living room when we first opened up many, many years ago. I don't even know if we had everything ready to go, if it was just kind of what in the restaurant biz they might call a soft opening, or a soft whatever it's called. And she brought all these beautiful plates to us. Oh, here. Living room paints. Gotta love it. Flaky and fun. I'd never heard of the jelly plates before until Deb introduced me. Yeah, this stuff. I think one of the things I loved about them was just the freedom of it. I didn't feel like I had to really, again, be an expert at anything. Just have fun playing. And similar to the chalk pastels, it's one of those things where you can't always control the outcome. So mistakes are definitely going to happen. Prints carved into burnt toast. B. I'm liking that idea. If you try that, will you let me know? I want to see pictures. It would absorb the toast. The toast would absorb paint, but then it would also release paint in an interesting way if it was holding a lot of paint. So there'd be a give and take. When you squish the toast, the paint would emerge. Yeah, definite possibilities there. Huh. Maybe one of these weeks I'll have that. We'll do it like a working with food and beverage. So I've applied some paint and I'm just going to give it a roll here. Another tool that's handy to have, but you can also, it's just about spreading the paint in an even layer. So if you have an old gift card or something that'll allow you to scrape the paint around to get some different effects, that would work too. You have a rolling pin that you don't mind getting a bit of paint on. Brayers are really beautiful, and the rollers are really beautiful. They really help in traditional fine arts kind of printmaking. But again, there's so many ways to do things. There's never just one way. I want to mix this up with a little bit of green. Toast printing. Oopsie, a little bit more than perhaps I thought. So I've got another little plate over here. What I'm going to do, just going to lift some of that paint. Put it over here. Save it for later. Now for today, I do have a damp rag on hand. I like it messy, but ho ho ho. All right, let's try this out, folks. Got some pepper here. So this is just a nice base coat, something to try. So there you go. Just another beautiful way of applying paint onto paper and having fun with it. And of course, if you can see, with the addition of cat hair. Everything, art, food, everything made in my house will have cat hair in it. It's just something I've accepted and I don't mind. Emily! Yay! So welcome, Emily. Yeah, you don't need to mark papers, do you? I mean, the students will totally understand. They'll totally understand. Just get them to tune in. Tune into the Weird Art Lady channel. Is that what I'm calling myself now? Am I a channel? Dear. Guys, help me out here. It's good to know you're there, Emily. Thanks for saying hi. Now, some folks with this, they do like to change. Obviously, you can wash off the plate, wash off your roller. Me, I'm a lazy, impatient creator. So rather than washing off in between, I'll simply build up the color and remove it. And I can always use the wet rag I have here to wipe it off if I really want to change the color palettes I'm working with. Oh, gift cards or expired credit cards as palette knives too. Yeah, there's so many different tools that people have around the house to paint with. Thank you for that tip, Kristen. We get really caught up in the fact that we need to have the right tools or the proper materials. And we forget that throughout time, artists who are usually notoriously, I don't want to say all artists are poor. That's a bit of a stereotype. But we don't necessarily have the cash to have all the newest, best things. That one turned out really, really, ooh. So I think artists have always improvised, right? We improvise with the materials. Yes, yes, and you can use, Oh, hi there. What are you? Living room paints. I should have shaken you up first. You know what? I'm going to use you. Let's see what you do. What am I going to do to add there? Huh. We improvise. Artists improvise. We use what we have at hand to create, including our hands, right? I love learning about how artists created and how often when you see them working or when people analyze their paintings, there's so, for painting as one example, there's so much of their DNA in the work because they've been licking their hands, they've been like licking their finger, putting it on the paint, they've been smudging and moving things around. We do weird things. It's not always healthy. Please don't eat paint. What I'm not saying is eat paint. Don't do that. That's not safe. And thank you, Annie, for saying you would subscribe to the Weird Art Lady channel. Well, you know what? Maybe there's a grant in there somewhere. We can pitch that. And then we can have a series of wonderfully weird art ladies come on and just share what they do. Now, let's see what happens if I do this. Don't know. Yeah. Bea was just saying some of her best calligraphy has come from just using the markers that she had at hand rather than, going out and buying these fancy calligraphy pens or, as beautiful as they are. And it's wonderful if you have the funds to indulge in having, those tools at hand, go for it. Oh, I forgot. I just have to do this. Being able to play with, the tools of the trade is a lovely thing. But if you can find something that works for you so that you can express yourself in the way that you need to in the moment, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, this one's going to be super goopy. Now, the one thing that I have forgotten about doing monoprints like this, at the rate that I'm doing them, when I'm making backgrounds, I often run out of space very quickly. Space to lay the ones that are drying. Let's play with this a little bit. So you might see me getting up and walking to hang things up around my space. Bea, are you volunteering as a weird art lady? I'm going to remove some of this paint now, using one of these little scrapery things. Again, this is a tool that was donated to the studio. In fact, most of our jelly plates were donated by one of our community members, Daphne, who, if you've ever been at the studio, usually we'd see Daphne first thing Saturday mornings after we'd opened up. This fantastically quirky, fierce British woman who was her life story is one of those. It's amazing. I think the last time I talked to her, I learned that she's a champion fencer. She was a captain in the British Navy. Maybe I'm getting all this wrong. Not my area of expertise, folks. But in any case, she loves experimenting with all these different creative tools. She sees, she's retired. She says, she has the funds to do it. And she explores, she plays, and then she shares them with the community as soon as she's gotten it out of her system. So that was a very interesting but juicy print. That one over there. So most of these jelly plates came from Daphne, and I am so glad that she enjoys experimenting. And I'm putting you over there. I'm putting you over there to dry. I'll be back, don't worry. And you're going to go over there. That's what I was thinking. I was just thinking that as I was laying those out, I think like a laundry line, an art line to clip things on as I'm working on them. Now I want to mix things up here. I want to do something a little different. So I have a few papers to the side here that I'm just going to use as kind of like clean slate pages, just to absorb the leftover paint so I can start fresh. And I'll do the same thing with the brayer. And even those ones, you get an amazing effect from. So I'll probably end up using those as well. All right, you. I'm gonna give this a clean. It's quite nice, actually. What I really like about this page, since I've used lined paper, I love the paint is just transparent enough that I can see the lines through it. So this, for example, would be a fantastic page to add in to a junk journal. So I put that aside on my imaginary line. Yes, you're going over here. How's everybody doing out there, by the way? One of the things I loved from last week was how people started sharing their art during the stream and after the stream on the Facebook page. I just adore the fact that people are still creating. Again, that creative energy, this is just a part of being human, isn't it? Whether you're making meaning out of something that you've been through, trying to make sense of how you're feeling, or just let that feeling out. We are creative. And nothing, very, very few things get in the way of that. Of course, every once in a while, it's good to take a break too. I appreciated last week, I think it was Annie, who just was taking a break and listening to us. It's that giving yourself space and time to rest, especially during the busy times, during the strange times, during the difficult times, all of that is so important. Again, speaking for myself, anytime I feel like I'm stuck on some kind of wheel that I can't, as soon as I start thinking that I can't step off, that I can't change things, that's when I know I need to rupture that idea, right? If I feel stuck, that's usually a sign to take a step back and evaluate. Every part of my being might be saying, no, you can't. But that's precisely when I need to. At least for me. I don't know what it's like for you folks. And again, I'm lucky enough, I have enough privilege that I can take a moment to step back, right? Not everyone does, so I'm very, very grateful for that. Oh, some Mary hair. Ha-ha! There we go. Something, or is that, no, what is that? I don't even know. Again, I'm talking to the art. I do it all the time, folks. All the time. Blue. So this is what some of our community is working on right now. Brought to you by Messy Stuff. Making calligraphic? Oh boy. I'll practice that one, B. Calligraphic monograms for folks. Oh, plus you did a big messy oil paint. Oh, oil pastel scribble fest to loosen up your shoulders. I love it. Using the art to help get that physicality, to actually release things that are in your body. Again, yeah, like the crunching of the paper for me, it has a physical impact on you, even shaking the paint. An unexpected moment just to take a breath and feel my body. Nice to be reminded. Scribble fests are the best. And what's Kristen working on? Let's see. Oh, beautiful. Sitting in the sun and listening to me like a podcast, trying to absorb some good vibes. I don't know. My vibes are they good? I don't know. I hope they are. I know they're, you know what? I can always promise interesting. I think that is something that I can promise. Let's see. How do I want to use this? Yeah, the sun. The sun is, I don't want to jinx it, but it's been so beautiful and sunny today. Looking out my window here. I'm absorbing some sunny vibes too, Kristen. And Patrick, nice. Welcome back, Patrick. Hello, welcome. Emily, yeah, do some art. The feeling creeps up on you, especially if you haven't done some in a long, long time. Which is one of the things that doing these has allowed me to do, to get back to actually making art. I can talk to you folks and make art at the same time. So again, this is me being entirely selfish. Entirely selfish. I'm going to come back to that one. The creative spirit, that creative the impulse, it will come out in other ways. Again, as we've talked about in the past here, like there are people who, for me, it's not always art. Sometimes it's baking, cooking, contemplating. I think reconnecting with the creative aspects of reflecting and contemplating. We need time to process. We need to make space for our brains to be able to consider new things and expand upon ideas. And I'm saying that knowing that this week, at least for some of the placement students we have, they're coming back into the studio. I'm really looking forward to introducing everyone to them again and getting folks connected to them. But I'm going to, I think, be mindful, very mindful of making sure that people, especially the students, are not taking on too much, because these are not normal times. And I have some great folks out there to inspire me on that path. Like Emily. Beautiful people who remind me where productivity comes from, where creation emerges from. It's not always where we expect it. Let's see. Oh, that's nice too. Again, just playing with colors. The other thing I really enjoyed from last week, if people have creative projects or on the go that they want to share, like Michael or Patrick sharing his blog, please feel free to share them here. If there's something that you're doing that you want to draw attention to, nothing wrong with sharing it and letting other folks check it out if they want to when they can. And I'm just reminded, I want to say hi to all the folks who might be listening right now but not joining in the chat. Thank you for being here with us. Hello to all the folks who are watching after the live stream and catching up with us. It's good to know you're there. And just a reminder that just because I'm making art doesn't mean you have to make art. Do what feels right for you. You may not have the materials that I have. Ooh. But if you have things at hand that you do enjoy working with, go for it. The best art can sometimes come from having the simplest or limited tools at hand. You might end up surprising yourself by what you create. Okay. Where am I going with this, folks? Where am I going? No. 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 Maybe I'll stick with the blue for a little while longer. Bee saying hi to folks. I love it. Thank you. Again, a reminder, if for the folks who are watching or listening, if you have an eye on the chat or you can see people who are joining, as I've said before, I can't always see who's joining the live stream from where I'm at. So if you can say hello to them and welcome them, just to let them know we're happy that they're here. That's a beautiful thing. All right, what am I going to do with this? I think I'm going to play with removing paint. Let's see what happens if I do this. I'm just taking a little circle stamp. Got my tremors are definitely speaking up today. So now, wait a second. Wait a second. I didn't remove in the way I was imagining. Perhaps I can play with that. Go back over here. Yes, I can. Let's see. So B has a question. Does anyone know if you can dye soap bubbles and blow them at paper to make fun shapes? Yes, you can. I know that. But if anyone in the chat knows or has a recipe that they like to use, please let B know. And thank you, Lisa. Yeah, the colors are amazing. I dig paint. I dig it. Let's see. Now I have a little too much paint on there, which might be why. There we go. It's not removing in exactly the way I thought it would, but hey. I think it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful thing no matter what. I think for the bubbles, I mean, you might want to try a whole bunch of stuff. You could try, I wonder what would happen if you had food dye at hand, food coloring, and you added it in. That might, so you'd add it into the bubble mix, and then I've seen beautiful, beautiful bubble art with people. You let the bubbles, I guess, when you blow them out into the paper, they land on the paper, and then they burst, and then you just let it dry. You don't touch it, unless you want to, I suppose. Why not? But you can get really beautiful effects. So food coloring might be a good go for that. Let's see. All right. So I'm going to start there. Let's see what happens. I'm going to take off a little bit more from there. Oh, why not? I'm just going to. All right, folks. Now let's try layering up some stuff. So I'm going to pull back that print, cat hair included, and let's see what happens. So that's kind of cool. Hey, Christine, welcome. Or hello, welcome to the chat. It's good to see you. Good to know you're there. One, try one more. So I'm going to flip over like so. I'm going to try and, so maybe I will flip this. I want to see if I can position it. And I just left it stuck to the back, the plastic backing. We're playing with mono printing today, Christine. I'm using jelly plates, which are super fun, but you can use a whole bunch of different things. And I'm sure you've mono printed before. Folks who've done this kind of printing before, let us know what tools you've used. I've used styrofoam plates, tables sometimes. So there you go. So now you're getting a sense of what can happen when the color layers up between prints. Just a little tiny, tiny bit of patience. And I'm the most impatient person I know. I know patience is a virtue, which is why I try to surround myself with other people who are really patient with me. And that helps. That really does help. But things like this that I can go to, that I can just play with, and I get instant results, they give me a lot of joy. A lot of joy. Let's see if that camera's, I want that camera to focus up again. Come on, focus. Okay. Oh yeah, so some folks are watching on your phone. You're watching on your phone, Bea? That's awesome. I want to use up all this delicious paint as much as I can. Now, one thing I can't remember if I mentioned, it's not an absolute rule, but I have found that liquid paints work a little bit better with jelly paints. Jelly plates, they smooth on, they roll around a little bit easier, and it's easier to get the kind of designs you want. Well, thank you, Patrick. It's the accident, the pretty accident that happens sometimes if you just let it go. Carlos, hello, welcome, Carlos. Good to see ya. Blue is the color of the piece you're making today, Carlos. Interesting. Interesting. I don't know what's interesting about it. Now, can someone tell me if this camera is super out of focus, or is that just me on this side of things? Guys, I was just about to drink the paint water. I knew one of these days it's going to happen. Cheers. Hello, Alpha. Oh, Alpha, good to see you. So, if folks are watching, Alpha and Kristen are two of the students who will be returning to the studio space, at least the virtual studio space. Let's see. We're going to give folks a chance to get to know them a little bit better. Is everything fuzzy? Well, you know what? Then it's just a fuzzy live stream, guys. We'll just roll with it, right? Move with what's moving. Yeah, blue and green as colors for me are, I feel, well, I guess it's a naturey kind of thing. I guess it's just a healing thing. I feel that there's so much growth symbolically in those colors for me. They feel calm, they feel soothing, they feel refreshing somehow. And I know sometimes I use them to soothe and calm and refresh myself as well. So just because I'm using those colors, it doesn't always mean that I'm feeling that way. And that's okay. There's been, for the folks who have been watching or listening in from the beginning, you saw what I was working with to start. Kind of a lot of frustration, a lot of fear, a lot of anger, maybe. These kind of things help me process that, right? Carlos welcoming the students to the space. That's lovely. Thank you, Carlos. we're really quite lucky at the studio. Again, that's a wonderful thing about working in community, that it's not all about, it's about all of us, one way or another, working together, discovering something, right? And it's made so much more interesting by the people who come into it, the people who participate, whether you're just watching or listening at home, for example, whether you're on your phone, walking around outside, listening to it, or you're engaging in the chat and saying hello and taking a slightly more active role. Nothing wrong with all of those things. They're beautiful. But the space is made more interesting. What we do is made more interesting because of all the many different voices that come together to create this. So I laid down a stencil on top of this, put some more paint on, and now I'm going to lift it off. And that's what happens. So again, if the camera's a little bit fuzzy, you may not be seeing the detail, but basically wherever the stencil was, the paint has not gone through. So I have a color underneath that's showing, and then the color that did get through the stencil through those shapes. Kind of a brickwork-like thing. And what am I going to do with this? Oh, hello. I'm going to clean off my stencil just to the side here by laying it on here. I said I'd be getting messy today, folks. And I am. So there wasn't a whole lot of paint to come off. But worth a try. Good thing to remember. So I'm going to lay that over top of this. Dark green. So, we're talking about colors now. So, Christine, dark green, dark blue, and dark brown, like a creek in the forest. I love those colors too. The colors of nature will always, I think that's a very human thing. The colors might shift depending on where we're from or what kind of environments we've found comfort in before. But for a lot of us, I think water, land, trees. So that is very subtle. I love how that looks though. It's a very subtle look, but I think it'll be really nice. I'm gonna clean off my brayer again. Maybe I'll shift over to the larger plate and do a little bit of work on there. Let's come back to this page. All right. What colors do I want for this page? Let's see. Well, let's go dark green. Let's go darker. Deeper into the forest. Shake, shake, shake. Now I'm feeling a little bit better than I was at the beginning. Oh, hello again. I know that. Because I'm more absorbed in the work that I'm doing. I think finding that quiet point in whatever you're doing, whatever you're working on, can be really important. I don't know about folks out there, but I spend a lot of my time being a little bit nervous of the silence. Not so much when I was alone, but when I was with other people. So even though we're not physically in the same space, I think there's still that strange feeling. So what am I going to do here? So I laid a stencil down upon that. And let's see if I can align this a little bit. There we go. So thank you guys. The fact that I can be here, do this, and feel comfortable just being quiet, that's really cool. You've helped create that space for me, so thank you. I needed it. So another way to get a really strong, bold pattern out of something, using that negative space. Now, I can peel this off. Let's see what that does. Oh, running out of space again. That's my song for you guys. For today, the running out of space. Expanding my inner space, running out of my physical space. Just gonna blot that stencil. You see that one? That's kind of interesting. Back over there you go. Now, I put things everywhere to dry, and now I can't remember where I put them. Okay, so I'm going to go over top of this one again. Just because I can. Let's see what happens if I do. You can also monoprint on things or using things that are not necessarily plates. So you can use one at the station gallery once I saw we're using old tires, and they applied paint onto the tires and they roll the tires over paper, but you could also apply paper onto the tires. So you might have things at home that you don't mind getting paint on or washing paint off of, and you can experiment with those surfaces to see what happens when you apply the paper on in different ways. Cookie trays, sieves, I don't know, outside rocks, pavement, paving stones. I think there was someone in London or New York. If you know the person or the project that I'm talking about, let me know. But they were actually printing the old street, what are they called? The big metal caps that go over the sewage, the systems, pipes underground. What are those things called? And where is my brain when I need it? Anyways, those things, if you know what I'm talking about, they were using those to print. So they were printing off these antique, they're not hubcaps. Why do I want to call them hubcaps? You could also print off of hubcaps too. Ask the person or people before you do that, obviously. But the sewer caps, let's just call them sewer caps for now. They were using those and printing them. And manhole covers. Oh, Annie, thank you. Thank you. You were just mentioning how nice the quiet was, and then I had to go and yell manhole covers at all of you. Sorry, guys. I apologize for the outburst. But yes, so they were making monoprints of manhole covers or person hole covers, maintenance system covers, something, storm drain lids, thank you, things like that. So they were making monoprints of those lids because many of them in the older cities, of course, there'll be different ones from different periods, and each one has different signatures and different designs. At one point in time, apparently they were very decorative. So they did this project where they mapped out their environment by printing those covers, and I think they have actually started selling t-shirts and things like that of them. So there are surfaces all around us that can be used to print with and create interesting designs. And you don't necessarily need a jelly plate. You don't need fancy tools. Work with what you have. Now let's see, where am I going over here? I really like this one. I don't know if I want to do anything to that one. As I was talking about the cool, like the blues and the greens, those naturey colors, this is another side. I think this one feels spicy. There's a little heat coming off of that one for me. I think I'm going to leave it as is. Sometimes what I like to do with these afterwards, hello Sophia, welcome Sophia. What I like to do with these after they dry as well, and you've got to give them a couple of days if you're using the acrylic paints, just to be sure. But then I like taking pencil crayon and going over top of them to add other design elements, to bring out certain colors that I really love, play down or mute other colors that aren't speaking to me in the same way anymore. And welcome for folks who are joining us. We're coming near the end now, but got another 15 minutes. We're playing with mono printing. Again, I'm using a jelly plate, but you can use a lot of different things to print off of, including maintenance system covers. Don't tell the city of Oshawa that I told you that, though, if you do it here. Jay, hello, Jay. Reminds Jay of one of those jelly beans, the hot cinnamon flavor. That might be where that's coming from. The red and the yellow swirlies. Yeah, absolutely. All right, one more. Still have some paint left on my roller. Let's play with it and see where it goes. Add some lighter blue, maybe slightly different color of blue. And Jay, you just reminded me, we're going to be starting up some new workshops. They won't be at the studio, obviously, because the studio's closed, but they will be doing a series of different things. Sometimes the students will be leading them. Sometimes I'll be leading them. I might create some videos as well. One of the projects I'm excited about is making videos that revisit all of the workshops we've done over the past 6 years at the studio. So making videos for as many of them as we possibly can. And again, the reason is quite selfish, because oftentimes at the studio when people were participating in those workshops, I was running around and doing other things. I didn't actually have the opportunity to play with everyone. Yeah, let's see where this goes. So this gives me a chance to do the workshops that I never got a chance to do. One of which was a workshop by Jay, where she experimented it. This kind of reminds me of it, actually, the mono printing, by playing with charcoal on a piece of paper, covering a page in a layer of charcoal, and then using an eraser to remove charcoal to create your image. So in a way, you're drawing with the eraser. And I've seen people do this too with graphite, with pencils, so you don't necessarily need charcoal for the same effect. There's lots of different ways you can do it. But this reminds me of that. And as we move forward and get a little more sophisticated with developing our studio away from the studio here, I want to have guest workshop facilitators on as well. We'll figure that out as we go. And Sophia, if you're still watching, I would love to have Sophia do a vision board workshop with us. Some folks at the studio have participated in her workshops there before and come away feeling so clear, radiant, buoyant, focused, collaging, taking time to externalize that vision of what you want for yourself, get it out of your head and onto the page. It can be such a powerful thing. So that's pretty. And oh yeah, Jay's remembering the workshop. Annie, yeah, we'll get it going. it's looking back over time, over the 6 years the studio has existed. We've actually, it feels like there's 6 years of resources that we can now revisit and draw upon. And we can shine a light on some of the creators who have helped us do that along the way. Because one of, again, we're not able to come together in person right now. It might be a very long time until we can come together in the studio again. But I don't think that means we don't need to stay disconnected. We can still find ways to connect with one another and be together and revisit all of those fantastic workshops. And if you did them before, if you've done them before, if it's something you're used to doing, perhaps there's an opportunity to play and take that workshop deeper or try something new with it. It's not always about learning something new. I think we can take time to deepen our practice and really feel comfortable with different techniques of creative expression, right? Relax into it. Hello, Lisa. What was this? Well, Lisa, I'm glad you've joined us. It's coming towards the end right now, but in a nutshell, what you've stumbled upon is a live stream Facebook pop-up art studio. So since we can't come together to create in the studio, we are gathering here every Wednesday from 2 p.m. till around 3:30, and we're just creating art together. I usually make something. Today it's a bit of a mess. I've made a mess, and I love it. But folks can do whatever they like to do at home, and it gives people an opportunity to chat, to connect with one another in the comments section. But you can also just hang out and listen or make art with this as a kind of soundtrack in the background. You don't even have to make art. You can be baking cookies, you can be folding laundry, you can be marking papers, you can be filling out those forms for school. If this is something that brings you joy to be a part of, I'm very happy. I'm very happy that we can be here and do that for folks. So every Wednesday, Lisa, you can tune in here at 2 p.m. and join in the live stream, or you can come back and revisit and rewatch it later on because it lives on Facebook after we've completed this time together. Just an informal space to come together, hang out, and spend time with one another. And for this last one, what am I going to do here? Okay, so full circle. This is that ball of stuff I did at the beginning. Oh, here, this is good, Jay. Jay was just saying, feel the fear of making a mess often holds people back, myself included, from crafting or creating or making, and that is so true. The fear of making something ugly, as if that thing defines who we are as a human being. No, these are all just moments in our life that we're letting out. And sometimes there are moments you want to let go of, and sometimes there are moments you want to honor and memorialize and hold on to, document, archive. And sometimes the moments you release through art, simply, they're just for fun. They're just for fun, and there is nothing wrong with that. And then speaking of mess, coming back to all this stuff that I let go of at the beginning. Okay, I'm going to try it. What I've got here is a kind of weird, wonky little crushed up paper ball stamp. And I'm just going to see what happens if I roll it on the mat, if I roll it on the jelly plate. Take that, ball of stuff. Or, I don't mean to be so mean to you. I actually appreciate you. And I enjoyed working with you today, and I enjoyed crushing you up into a tiny paper ball. I'm talking to the art. I'm not talking to you folks. So thank you for that. There we go. I'll put you aside over there. And now I'll do this. I don't know what's gonna happen. This is an art adventure. That will be the theme song to the Weird Art Ladies channel. Or Weird Art People. Perhaps we should open it up there. All genders are welcome. Are we ready, guys? Let's see. Huh. It's lovely. It's much more subtle than I imagined, but it's quite beautiful. Lots of blues and greens all around me. Huh. B saying that's a good point, B. Find that if you don't get some form of mess in front of you or on you, you don't feel like you did anything, even with cross stitch. I've got no thread ends stuck to my shirt or socks. I feel like I haven't accomplished as much. Yeah, isn't that true? The mess of our lives. That's another fantastic way of looking at things as well. That it often demonstrates something. It demonstrates growth. It demonstrates movement. It demonstrates that something has been accomplished. Not always the product or the perfect thing that the world might want, but that messiness of things sometimes represents the journey we're on and the growth. The fact that we are moving through something or moving with something. There's going to be mess. If there isn't some kind of, if you haven't got a thread stuck to your sock or a piece of glitter on your face or paint all over your hands, perhaps it's worth looking for those moments. It's there. You may not always see it. I don't know. It's not a bad thing. It just means we're growing, we're moving, we're creating ourselves, creating some art, whatever it might be. The mess just kind of documents creation. Kazoos and ukuleles. Oh my goodness. Yes, we've done some. Oh, I'm loving. Oh, the conversation is fantastic here. Yes. So we have kazoos. If people are referring to the kazoo choir that I never quite got up and running, it's still a dream of mine. I'm not giving up on the kazoo choir. Maybe there's a way we can still do that. Maybe I'll check in with Lori Nancy Kalamansky and see if she wants to be a kazoo choir leader. And yes, the finished pieces, Emily, could be cut up. All of these things that we've created here today could be cut up and put into another art piece, layered on top of one another. Color studies in color. I think that's one of the reasons why it's very hard for me to get rid of any of the things I create, even if I don't know what they're about at the time, because they all come in, there's usefulness. Sooner or later, I will want them to be a part of my life, and they work themselves into other pieces. All right, one more, guys, and then I'm out. Let's see. Well, B has an interesting point about that mess. So the messiness, it allows me to wash something off in case the art involved something that hurts, and I can wash that hurt off with the remainders of your mess. Yeah. Again, a beautiful point, a beautiful way of looking at it. We don't experience the mess. We don't have an opportunity to transform it into something else. We don't have an opportunity to clean it up, to take a chance at making something new out of that mess, or learning from the mess, perhaps. Right? That process. It's important. We get a little, I think at the end of the day, each one of us, it's important for us to know that we are capable of working with our mess, of looking at it and appreciating it, of reaching out and getting some support to deal with it. Again, you don't have to do it alone. Let's see what happens if I return to this tool. Get some texture in there. Now, I will probably sit here after this ends, and I might just keep on making this stuff. But I think it's time to wrap things up for the live stream. I want to thank everyone for joining me today. I want to thank all the folks who joined the chat and said hello to one another. I want to thank all the folks who are just doing their thing and listening. No need to join in the conversation. If you don't feel like it, I'm going to go for it. I want to thank everyone for taking some time out of their day for themselves to make art or to think about creating, whatever that is for you. I really enjoyed being here today. Let's lay out some of the pieces that I've created. There we go. Some nice pieces to start me on my way. Thank you so much for being here, folks. Oh, lovely. Look at everyone thanking one another. Doesn't have to stop though. If you guys are excited to share pictures of what you're working on or to keep the conversations going about any of the things that we've talked about during this live stream, you can keep on chatting in the comment section of the Facebook page. Let us know what you think. And if you would like to message or send something to me privately, you can do that too. I know some folks have. I always love seeing what people are working on and how they're making in their time, making use of their time, but what they're making of the time that we have, these strange times that we're working through. Until we can connect and create again with one another in person. I look forward to creating and connecting with you again online. The next time we're going to be hanging out is, well, next Tuesday we have Cassandra Myers, who will be joining us for a live stream Instagram chat. She's a spoken word artist in the community, someone that B and I met at one of the last public events we went out to before everything kind of closed down for this health crisis. So we look forward to chatting with her this Tuesday. You're welcome to join us over on Instagram for that. But again, we're back here next Wednesday for another live stream hangout. You're welcome to come and create with us, okay? Thanks so much for joining us. Take care, stay safe. Take care of yourself. See you soon. That's a long rambling ending if I ever heard one. It's my specialty. Bye, guys. Bye.